Sit down and be quiet.
Our first story takes us to Las Vegas, Nevada, where Judge Douglas Herndon's presiding. The defendant is Gary Walters, who's on parole for various financial crimes. He's in court today over restitution he was ordered to pay as part of his sentence.
I've been making my payments. I've been on Social Security. I've been paying what I can in restitution.
Okay.
All of a sudden, he says, you got to pay $26,000 a month.
As Walters makes his case, there's a man standing a few feet behind him. And the judge takes notice.
You're going to have to go back to the original court and then possibly...
Hey, hold on a second. Who's this guy staring at me over here?
This is Kim Blandino.
I'm a co-plaintiff in the civil case.
Kim Blandino has nothing to do with this criminal case, and he's not even a lawyer. But he is a co-plaintiff in a civil suit that Walters has filed against his former attorney. Blandino has earned a dubious reputation for filing frivolous motions and joining civil suits where he has no affiliation. But Judge Herndon is not about to let Blandino disrupt his courtroom.
Okay, are you an attorney?
No, not.
Then you need to sit down and quit staring at me like somehow you need to talk to me or whatever.
I do need to.
Pardon?
Can I make a record?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to make a record about you in a minute, but you need to sit down and be quiet because you're not a plaintiff or a defendant in my criminal case. You're not an attorney. You can't appear in my criminal case and act like an attorney, so sit down and be quiet. Mr. Walters, go ahead.
Walters continues, but when Blandino physically reacts to Judge Herndon's comments, the judge has a few choice words for him and his habit of acting like an attorney.
You know what? Let me tell you something. You want to act like an act like an but I'm telling you, that gets you nowhere in court. And you know what else gets you nowhere in court? Sitting in the audience of a court while a judge is engaging with somebody and shaking your head and being all demonstrative. So get out.
I'm sorry, it was inadvertent.
No, it wasn't inadvertent. Don't give me that. It's not inadvertent. It's never, get out. It's never inadvertent when you come in and act all disrespectful to people.
Blandino exits, but feeling disrespected, he later files a motion to have Judge Herndon disqualified from the case. The motion was denied.
State of Nevada versus Kim Dennis Blandino.
18 months later, Blandino's back in court, but this time as a defendant. He's been charged with extortion and is under house arrest. He has a hearing before Judge James Bixler, who's well aware of Blandino's history as a wannabe litigator. Blandino's representing himself, but the court has appointed Steve Alter as co-counsel, which puts Blandino in a combative mood.
Mr. Alvey, will you accept appointment as standby counsel?
I have an objection.
Shut up.
I have a right to object, I believe, Your Honor.
You have the right to get held in contempt of court. And that's what's going to happen if you don't shut up. I'm not putting up with any of your crap here today. Your reputation has preceded you. Will you accept appointment on him as standby counsel?
Your Honor, I can. However, Mr. Blandino, after we spoke outside, wanted a little bit of time to speak to me in detail about his case and his desires, and then also to look into my background a little bit before he would agree.
You want to interview you?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor. I object to that laughing, Judge.
I object to you. I think the defendant has already categorized himself as a vexatious litigant.
I object.
You object all you want.
Can I make a record?
No.
I've got a motion.
What did I just say? What did I just say? No.
I can't say anything.
No.
Blandino refuses to quit, to the point where others in the courtroom begin reprimanding him.
Shut up. Shut up. You're getting real close to getting remanded.
Blandino finally gets the message and agrees to meet with the court-appointed counsel.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I think you're very impatient, though, sir.
Blandino remained under house arrest for extortion and impersonating a public officer. Next, we're in family court in Las Vegas, Nevada. 26-year-old Monica Contreras is here to vacate a temporary restraining order filed against her by her estranged husband. The routine hearing lasts just a few minutes, and Contreras' 2-year-old daughter joins her just off camera.
So I'm just going to close the case out and dissolve the order.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
But before Contreras is able to leave, courtroom marshal Ron Fox takes her to another room to perform a drug search, while her daughter plays with hearing master Patricia Doninger on the bench. Moments later, Contreras is back in the courtroom, but there's a problem. She begins telling the other courtroom marshal that she wasn't comfortable with how the drug search was performed.
What are you alleging that my officer did?
Yeah. He said, can I just have you pull up your shirt and show me that there's no drugs in there? I said, well, I really don't think that's a good idea. I think I'd rather have to I'm just offended that he asked me to do that.
Still searching Contreras' purse, Marshal Fox doesn't like what he's hearing.
Okay, so the story stands. Handcuff her.
Why
You bring
would I
her
be
in.
handcuffed? Why would I be arrested?
Hold on.
For what, sir?
Hold on.
Okay, why would I be arrested? Can you please tell
Turn
me?
around, put your hands behind
Can
your
you
back.
please tell me?
Turn around, put your hands
Because of
behind
false
your back.
allegations made against a police officer. So.
What?
Making a false allegation against a police officer? In this context, that wouldn't even be a crime in Clark County.
For what?
Turn around.
Hearing master Patricia Doninger turns her back on the situation.
Please tell
Turn
me.
around, put your hands behind
Can
your
you
back.
please tell me?
Then, without getting any further explanation of the charges, she asked to have Contreras' daughter removed from the courtroom.
Can we do something with a little...
Why would I be arrested though?
If you could call up Child Haven for me.
Child Haven is the county's child protective services facility. In just a matter of minutes, Contreras went from appearing at a routine court hearing to getting arrested and now having her daughter taken away from her.
You're saying
Do
it.
not turn around. I will also add
Why would I
something.
be? Okay, stop. What did I do to anyone? Leave me alone, please.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. I don't want to press charges. I don't want to sue anyone. I just wanted to end.
Jimmy, I got court. I still have to do this, so arrest her. I take the kid. We're done.
Why would you
Hey,
do that to me,
Judy.
sir?
Because you're making
I'm
false
not making
allegations.
false allegations, sir. Why would you put me in this position? I'm a good person. No, I don't want to deal with this, please. I just want to end it. Okay, it was all lies. It was all lies. It was all lies. It was all lies. Let me go home, please.
So
Why would you be arresting me
on
right
record,
now?
on tape, in the courtroom.
I just want to go home, please. I just want to go home, please.
Sounds like Contreras is going to recant her statement about the marshal's inappropriate handling of the drug search. Or maybe not.
That's what happened.
Right into the microphone.
You put me in the room and you asked me to lift up my shirt without a witness. You asked me to lift my shirt without a witness.
As she's handcuffed in front of her young daughter, Contreras singles out hearing master Doninger for seemingly ignoring her pleas for help.
How could you do this to me? How could you watch? How could you watch? You asked me to pull up my shirt. Leave me alone. I don't want to go to jail. I'm just trying to defend myself. He said, can you please pull up your shirt without a witness? He said, can you please pull up your shirt without a witness?
You already lied. It's on record.
I didn't lie.
These tapes.
I didn't lie.
Contreras is taken to jail, formally charged with providing false information to a police officer and disturbing the peace. Her daughter's turned over to special services until the girl's father picked her up later that day. 2 months after the incident, Contreras filed a complaint against Marshal Fox, claiming that in addition to improper protocol, the officer also groped her breast and buttocks during the drug search. An investigation by Clark County Internal Affairs would validate her claims. She was later awarded $200,000 in a court settlement. As for those responsible for the courtroom injustice, the perpetrator, Marshal Ron Fox, was fired immediately following the investigation. Marshal James Kenyon was later relieved of his duties, and hearing master Patricia Doninger was out 2 years later after the video went public.
We've all heard of a judge throwing the book at someone for their crimes.
But you're about to see a judge who's throwing a book for a whole different reason. Lawyers and a judge are trying to select a jury, a critical step in ensuring a fair trial. The defendant is Jose Azucena, who's charged with 40 counts of sexual misconduct, including kidnapping and rape of a minor. It's day 2 of jury selection, and Azucena's attorney is interviewing a prospective juror who sits off camera. The judge listens on.
So can you be fair to both sides?
I think I would be biased.
You're off this jury, but you didn't say that yesterday.
It looks like the judge has taken issue with a potential juror.
Well, I said I had
No, listen, what we're not going to have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking up and trying to make up now so they can get out of the jury. That's not going to happen, all right? Right? Because if I find that someone said something yesterday under oath and changes it because they're trying to fabricate something to get out of serving on this jury, there's going to be repercussions.
The judge is unsatisfied and demands an explanation.
What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
All right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Disgusted with the juror, who happens to be a nurse, the judge throws a book, which turns out to be a pocket-sized version of the U.S. Constitution, against the wall. Things are heating up, so attorneys attempt to intervene.
Your Honor, may we approach? Your Honor?
We can't approach. You're not going to be fair and impartial.
Like I said, with my nursing history, and I've been involved with child abuse, and I've been involved with incest with young girls that deliver 13 years old. It makes me rather, biased.
Ma'am, you're off this jury. You're off this jury. You're removed. Go home. All right?
The nurse is excused from jury duty, not before the judge gets in one last remark.
I don't like your attitude.
The case against Azucena eventually makes it to trial, and he's found guilty. He's sentenced to life in prison, but that's not where the story ends.
You're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides.
The Nevada Supreme Court overturns the conviction, claiming Judge Scotti created an intimidating environment which tainted the jury panel. Azucena is awarded a new trial and a new judge. Until then, he remained in custody. Although Scotti apologized for the incident, his outburst resulted in ethics charges, courtesy of the Nevada Commission of Judicial Discipline.
You're removed. Go home. All right? I don't like your attitude.
Next, we're in Miami, Florida, where Judge Nusheen Safi is about to recognize a familiar name on her bond hearing docket.
Johnny Ray Smith Jr. Oh my God.
These two have a storied history, and you're gonna hear all about it.
The same charges, that same baby mama, she did the same thing that the wife did. I left the house like you told me.
In a previous domestic case, Smith was convicted of criminal mischief, and Judge Safi advised that he leave the home where he'd been staying with the complainant. In that same case, Smith revealed to the court that he had fathered more than 30 children. And apparently still counting.
Remember she was pregnant and she had another kid, so I'm at 40 now.
And that's your argument? Wait, that's your argument for you want me to let you out?
No, not that. No, listen.
Do you remember that birth control lecture I gave you back when you only had 31 kids?
Listen to you, listen. I swear I listen to you. I just moved out. I stay on my own. I got a new girlfriend. That's what she mad about.
I don't blame her.
But listen, I left. I never went back to the house. I never called.
You didn't listen to anything I said.
No, I did. I left. You
but
told me to leave.
You also no more kids.
Similar to his previous case, Smith's charges today include criminal mischief and burglary related to incidents involving another mother of some of his children.
Yeah, I was...
Mr. Smith, how about if you be quiet for a minute?
Okay, no problem.
Try doing that for 1 minute, if you can.
All right.
As the judge goes through the case file, public defender chimes in.
Your Honor's history with Mr. Smith and knowledge of Mr. Smith, as well as the allegations before the court at this point in
Just
time.
make it clear that my history with him is as a judge.
Mr. Smith.
You're not staying there, correct?
I did exactly what you told me. I left. No.
Mr. Smith, just
Bitched
answer
her with
yes or
2
no.
kids. Can I put him on I don't know, vasectomy?
Please don't do it.
Judge Safey doesn't have that kind of power, but she can take away his social life by placing him under house arrest using a tracking bracelet.
$1 a day for the bracelet.
You finna do me like that again? That was torture last time.
You're not going to have to post a bond. You're going to be on a bracelet.
Thank you.
Before they part ways, the judge also issues Smith a final warning.
If you come back with any other baby mamas, I'm going to revoke your bond and keep you in jail. Condoms, use them.
Okay.
We're inside the Highland County Courthouse in Greenfield, Ohio. At the edge of the camera's view, deputies are taking 34-year-old Nicholas Garrison into custody. He's been convicted of possession of methamphetamine. But as the deputies are about to find out, he's in possession of another kind of speed. Now he's gone. Let's back things up and see exactly what happened here. Watch as Garrison waits to make his break until both deputies have their backs to him. He then splits the two officers. And a third is no match for his open court speed. He hits the stairs as Deputy Ben Reno takes a flying leap over the railing to stop him. But Garrison just slips through his fingers and is able to break out of the courthouse and escape outside. Nicholas Garrison would elude police for almost 4 days before being captured. He now faces additional charges for his courtroom breakout. As for Deputy Reno, who took that daring dive into the stairwell, he suffered 4 broken ribs and a minor concussion in his attempt to foil the escape, but eventually made a full recovery.
Okay, is everybody ready to listen to me?
Next, we go to a child custody hearing in Las Vegas, Nevada. The plaintiff is Shelby Bachman, and the defendant, Jonathan King. The couple are arguing over visitation rights for their 2-year-old son, Joseph. The issue is King's unpredictable work schedule. The attorneys are Don Procopius, and for the defense, Machancy Kramer.
Because my client is a UPS driver, his schedule, though, is not a set schedule. It varies. So he has to keep her notified of when his schedule is changing so that she's aware of pickup. She has told him now if he's more than half an hour late, he forfeits his entire weekend and can't see the kid.
Has Joseph gone weekends that he would have expected to see his father without seeing his father?
He has not missed one weekend. Not one.
The threat was made.
Not
I didn't
one.
ask you if the threat was made. I asked if it happened. You led me to believe that it was happening.
No.
My client has worked with him at times that it was till Saturday morning that he picked up.
There is a problem here.
After hearing from both sides, Judge Sandra Pomerantz points to the lack of cooperation between the parents.
What I see here is parties not being creative. But these two need to be adult enough to say, okay, this happened, where do we go from here?
But Your Honor, and I agree with you. And so what she's done is on these times where she's worked with him, but then I think it was within the last 2 weekends.
I thought you said you agreed with me.
I do agree with you.
Okay, so listen to me. You're going to be done with this case when this case is over and these parties are divorced. They'll never be done with this case. Okay? So rather than complaining to me, it's a discussion with Mr. Procopius being creative.
It appears the judge has struck a nerve with the defense.
My client has come up with all kinds of solutions, Your Honor, and it comes down to what Mom wants is what Mom is going to demand.
Okay, I don't buy that.
Well, Your Honor, that's how it is.
What I'm telling you is, Have you discussed this issue with Mr. Procopius?
Yes, I have in the hallway.
Okay. And has it been a matter of making demands or saying, what are we going to do?
No, it's a matter of calling my client.
Things begin to get personal, and the judge has a few words for Kramer.
I do have experience with you using inappropriate language.
And you know that I would admit it if I had done it. And if I was going to do it, I would have done it to her face.
You know what? You want to be a sailor, fine. Go be a sailor in your private life. But don't be a sailor in my court or in my cases.
I didn't.
Again, I don't judge people with sailor language because I use a little sailor language, but only in my private life, not in my courtroom, not to a litigant, not to an attorney. I don't do that because that's not professional. And ma'am, I warn you, one of these days, the State Bar is going to catch up to that. Because if you read the rules, there is an ethical rule about fairness to opposing counsel.
I know that there are also rules about treating people equally without regard to race, ethnicity, or gender. I find it highly objectionable that anyone complains about my language because I know all kinds of male attorneys who have no problem picking up the phone and screaming cuss words at me. So if I am outside there where my First Amendment rights are in full effect, I will say what I choose to say when I choose to say it, and that is my right in this country.
Are you done?
But after a few minutes of civility, the counselor starts up again.
We've spent, 5-10 minutes talking about nothing that is relevant to this case because I, as a female attorney, am being chastised over language that men feel free to use every single day, and they do.
You are giving me a headache because you're yelling, and I don't like having a headache.
Well, I'm being attacked, Your Honor.
No, you're not. Sit down, counsel. I'm done hearing from you.
Unsatisfied with the parties' solutions, the judge orders an evidentiary hearing, which means the parents will submit evidence against each other and the judge will make a ruling. In a child custody case, it can get ugly.
Your lawyers are going to be painting a picture for me in court. And it's not going to be a great picture of either one of you about the other.
Even after the judge makes her decision, the defense tries one last argument.
Your Honor.
I have nothing more to say, and I want to hear from either one of you. I'm going to set the trial.
I understand that.
So sit down.
The couple's evidentiary hearing is postponed multiple times and has yet to be heard.
Oh my God, take me home.
We now go to Brimfield Township, Ohio, where County Judge Rebecca Doherty isn't presiding over her courtroom. She's making demands at the local police station.
Do me a favor and have a seat so we can do our job. I'm not going to call anybody yet, okay? We have stuff we have to do.
I'm going to tell you now to call Lieutenant Limbert now.
Have a seat.
Call him.
Or I'm going to put you in the cell.
So why is this judge so aggravated? Let's go back earlier in the night.
Hello?
An officer's body camera records as he approaches an SUV that's crashed off the side of a snow-covered road.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
What's going on? Ma'am, you've got vomit down here in your door.
300 deal.
Have you been drinking?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have your ID handy?
I'm Becky Doherty. I'm the judge.
Your judge?
To be more specific, she is the county's common pleas court judge, 55-year-old Rebecca Doherty.
Kidding me?
Am I kidding about what?
I am absolutely out of my mind with...
You're intoxicated.
I am so intoxicated.
The officer's body cam continues to record as the judge is escorted into booking.
Oh my God. Take me home. Okay.
Have a seat.
Let me call Limbert.
Have a seat.
No.
Rebecca,
Call.
listen. This whole thing is being recorded. Do not do something you are going to regret
Call
tomorrow.
Larry Limbert is actually Major Larry Limbert of the county sheriff's office.
Do me a favor and have a seat so we can do our job.
Call Larry
I'm not going to call anybody yet, okay? We have stuff we have to do. Will you please have a seat? You're trying to walk out the door and you're almost falling down. Can you please have a seat?
I'm not falling down.
Have a seat.
Call Larry Limbert.
Rebecca, I will put you in one of the cells if you
Okay.
do not. I'm
Call
trying
Larry
to really
Limbert now.
Have a seat.
Call him now. Call him now.
And that's not the judge's only request.
What can I do for you?
Drink?
Okay.
Water?
We just literally told you 10 seconds ago that we're getting you a drink of water. He's out front right now getting you the glass.
Not 10 seconds ago. I want a drink of water now. Thank you. Call Larry Linder.
I tried him. He didn't answer.
Really?
Do you want the water? The water?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Larry Linder.
Okay.
Larry Linder.
After refusing to take a breathalyzer, Judge Doherty is charged with operating a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol.
Give me my phone so I can make a phone call.
Okay. Your phone is in a puddle of vomit in your car, which is on the side of... Can I finish?
Absolutely.
Which is on the side of the road that you crashed into.
Yes.
The tow company is out there trying to get it out. However, it is extremely snowy and slippery out. They are not able to get the vehicle out so far. So your phone is off the table right now. We don't have access to it.
Judge Doherty receives a fine of $1,075 and 180 days in jail, which the presiding judge reduces to $375 and 3 days in jail. Her driver's license is suspended for a year, and she's ordered to complete a driver's intervention program. Meet the man in the fur cap, 21-year-old Robert Peterson. He's the person filming this footage as he enters the Kootenai County Courthouse in Idaho.
That has to go through the X-ray machine if you want to come in this building.
Peterson is a hearing for a minor traffic infraction, riding his bicycle at night without a light. But from the moment he steps inside the door, it's clear this won't be a typical security check.
And I'd just like to know where your warrant is.
I don't need
It's clearly posted on the entrance building.
What? Clearly posted that I have to forfeit my right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure?
Coming into this building.
Yeah, every person is. I'm not a person. I'm a man.
And more specifically, a free man. Peterson considers himself a sovereign citizen.
I'm not subject to your jurisdiction, and the court has already confirmed that. I'm here for one purpose. All right.
You can submit or you can leave.
That's fine. I mean, I'll do that, but you will be charged a bill.
Charged a bill? Rather than escalating the situation, one of the bailiffs decides to play along.
You will be served a bill. I don't have any weapons. I didn't come here to raise a ruckus.
After clearing security, Peterson finds a seat at the rear of the courtroom and continues filming.
So there are no cameras in the court.
Excuse me?
There are no cameras in the court.
Yeah, there is.
No, you have to put that away.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Under what authority?
You have to have a court order from a judge before you can have a camera in the courtroom.
Okay, well, I'm going to capture this on video.
You got to turn it off.
It's for both of our protection.
Well, you have to turn it off.
No, thank you.
Enter bailiff number 2.
Shut the camera off now.
No, thank you. I do not consent to you touching me or seizing my property, so you need to back up.
Shut the camera off now.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes, you are.
I'm holding you accountable because you're about to overstep your bounds.
The bailiffs then decide to clear the courtroom and question Peterson directly.
What's your first and last name?
I don't have a last name.
You don't have a last name?
No.
What's your first name?
I don't have a first name either. I've got a name. My name is Robert. You can call me Robert.
As you can see, this bailiff keeps his sense of humor about the situation.
What are you? Are you human?
I'm a man.
You're human?
I'm a man, yes.
Can I see your Idaho state license?
No, I don't have one.
You don't have one?
My person does, but I don't.
With the situation seemingly diffused,
Come on in, folks.
the bailiffs usher everyone back into the courtroom. Well, except for one person.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You're blocking my freedom of movement.
I am.
All right. Well, P. Barnes, you just admitted to me that you're violating my rights.
No, I'm not. You can't come in with the camera.
Well, you're violating my rights. And this is also freedom of the press.
From behind you.
This is also freedom of the press. I mean, I don't know what the hell law book you're reading, man, but it doesn't apply to me. Why are you worried about cameras? Because you want to do something wrong? Because you want to do something wrong? Because if it's against the rules, that means it's because somebody intends on wronging somebody else. Because they're afraid of being held accountable. P. Barnes.
It's a nice speech, but you're still not coming in.
Well, please step aside. I'm going in.
No, you're not going in.
Don't touch me.
You're not going in, sir.
Let the record show that you just battered me.
Step back.
And you're using...
step back.
After Peterson refuses to step back, Chief Bailiff Pete Barnes fires his taser.
And you're using... Stop, please. I'm not doing anything wrong. Hey, you know what? You guys are really overstepping your bounds right now.
Put the cuffs on him.
Put the cuffs on. What are you arresting me for?
The answer to that question? Peterson's charged with 3 counts of battery and 1 count of contempt of court. He would later enter an Alford plea, meaning he didn't admit to committing a crime, but acknowledged there was likely enough evidence to convict him. Jail time was waived as part of the plea deal, and he was ordered to pay a fine for his original charge of riding a bike at night without a light.
You solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so okay.
Yes.
Next, we're in Sylvan Lake, Michigan, for the deposition of 42-year-old David E. Taylor. The man on camera may look like just a regular guy, but to the followers of his multi-million-dollar megachurch, they believe he's truly holier than thou.
Mr. Taylor, you also go by the name of the Apostle?
Yes.
David Taylor claims he was personally visited by Jesus Christ and now brings others into the light through his nonprofit organization, Joshua Media Ministries International, or JMMI. Today, Taylor's being deposed in a divorce case involving one of his volunteers, a woman who donated over $1 million to his ministry. Now, as part of the divorce proceedings, lawyers want to know exactly how that money was used.
On November 29th, 2013, JMMI paid over $6,000 to Louis Vuitton.
Hmm? Yes.
What would that be for?
Well, this is for clothes concerning my TV ministry as well.
June 2014, you spent $3,500 by JMMI to Versace in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Well, that ain't something I purchase all the time.
Well, it looks like you did several times in...
I mean, I'm a very frugal person when it comes to this.
I don't see Macy's.
No, you don't see that, because Macy's don't have the kind of suits that I wear.
2013 and 14, JMMI spent over $30,000 in your clothes. That sound about right?
What year was that?
13 and 14.
Oh God, yes, because I was traveling so much. Yes, and sweating through all my clothes. Exactly. That probably wasn't enough.
The hot seat gets hotter when Taylor's questioned about the ministry's fleet of luxury cars.
You testified that JMMI owns 3 vehicles, a BMW, a Mercedes, and a Bentley.
Yes.
I have a question, just from you minister to the poor and the sick and all that. Isn't it a little offensive to be driving around in a Bentley and a Mercedes to people that really, are impoverished and sick and ill?
It could be offensive if they didn't know my life.
And the baptism by fire continues when he's asked about a $2.8 million mansion listed as a, quote, residential center by the ministry.
All right, so what is this residential center?
Oh, this is a place that the ministry owns. Well, not own, we're in the process of buying that.
All right, so where does the number $2,844,000 come from on your asset and liability?
That's, I guess, the appraisal value of the home.
Wait, the appraised value of what?
I guess the appraisal value of the home.
The lawyer catches that Taylor refers to the property as a home.
Is it a home?
No, it's a residential center.
While Taylor's deposition was just part of a divorce case, it would later come back to haunt him. After the more than 3-hour video was posted online, the ministry and Taylor himself came under fire as allegations of misused funds flooded the internet. Despite the negative publicity, David E. Taylor continues to spread his gospel around the world. Next, we go to a pretrial hearing in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Jeremy Shue, age 39, is charged with first-degree home invasion, car theft, identity theft, and possession of a controlled substance. The defendant arrives in a wheelchair after suffering a number of strokes over the years. That's Shu's attorney, Walter White.
Any other motions or preliminary matters?
I would just restate my previous request that I be allowed to withdraw from the case.
Shu's attorney just asked to be removed from the case.
Mr. Shu and I have basically no communication. He prepares his own motions. He has asked me to file them. Sometimes I have, sometimes I have not. He's had a series of strokes. I mean, he's in a wheelchair.
Even though Shu's in a wheelchair, not even his own attorney is sure about the severity of his condition.
I don't know what his physical health is, but I know that he's maybe not as strong as he used to be. And so I would just ask Your Honor to consider allowing me to withdraw so that he can get an attorney that he can work with.
I previously ruled on your motion to withdraw, and nothing has changed in interim, so I'll stand by that ruling.
I'd like to represent myself then, Your Honor.
That's right. If Shu can't have his way, then he'll just represent himself.
Well, I would strongly urge you not to do that. Mr. White's been a criminal defense attorney for as long as I can remember.
That's your opinion. I don't buy your opinion.
But that's fine. You don't have to buy my opinion. But he is a lawyer, and you're not.
I'm a better lawyer than you.
That's your opinion as well. If you want to proceed and represent yourself, we can do that. Jury trial will be the 21st of January at 8:30.
I need time to go through pretrial motions.
January 21 at 8:30. Mr.
I haven't
White.
had no time to go through pretrial motions. What the f are you talking about, dude?
Sensing the escalating tension, two court officers step in behind Shu in case things get physical.
Well, the case has been pending for quite a while. Mr. White has been representing you for quite a while. So
Mr. White hasn't filed nothing. He just asked to withdraw 2 different times. You keep denying it.
Well, that's the way it is, sir. So we'll see you on the 21st for jury trial.
It looks like Shu's a little stronger than his attorney realized. Watch again, as Shu easily steps out of the wheelchair to flip the table. The officers force Shu back into the chair, but he's not going quietly.
Lift your feet up.
Shu ultimately kept White as his attorney, and it's a good thing he did. White worked a deal where Shu pled no contest to most of his charges and got a reduced sentence of 2.5 years in a county jail. We're in Seattle, Washington, for the sentencing of convicted killer Joseph McEnroe. The 36-year-old was found guilty of brutally murdering 6 members of his girlfriend's family on Christmas Eve. McEnroe and the girlfriend opened fire on her parents, later waited for her brother to arrive, then shot and killed him, his wife, and their 2 young children. Michelle Anderson, the girlfriend and alleged mastermind of the gruesome plot, was said to have convinced McEnroe into committing the murders. The motive? Her brother allegedly owed her money. After a more than 2-month trial in which McEnroe wasn't heard from, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. But now, in this penalty phase, McEnroe takes the stand for the first time to plead his case for a lesser sentence.
What did you do to try to stop this, Joe?
I can't even say now. I tried everything that I could.
Well, why not just walk out the door and then leave?
I couldn't do that.
McEnroe remains emotionless, even as he describes exactly how he murdered one of the victims.
Then she wasn't moving anymore, and so I went over by where she was, and I told her that I was sorry, and I shot her in the head.
But in a split second, something changes. McEnroe breaks down as he describes what he saw as he cleaned up part of the crime scene.
See the emptiness where she should be. So...
But what came next for McEnroe was perhaps the best indicator of just how divorced from reality he'd become.
At least nobody suffered. The way that it is, at least nobody suffered.
Joseph McEnroe and Michelle Anderson would each be sentenced to 6 life terms in prison for the murders of Anderson's family members.
Okay, next fellow would be Joseph Jerome Batten.
We're in the Broward County Bond Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The defendant is Joseph Jerome Batten, who's been charged with trespassing at a local track and casino for the 2nd time in 2 months.
How you doing, Your Honor?
Good morning.
I do have a history, Your Honor. Can I speak to you, Your Honor?
In the past 2 years, Batten's made quite a habit of trespassing at local casinos. He's been convicted of it more than 10 times. So he knows the bond court drill, and he's not looking to resolve his case as the public defender suggested.
I already know I got a history. This man ain't said nothing to me now time in here this morning. All right, Your Honor? I'm just being frank with you. That's the only place I go. Only thing I do, as you can see, is nothing but trespassing, because that's my only entertainment. All right, is go to the track, and I like for you to make an offer. And if I like it, I accept it.
Batten has just requested an offer of minimal jail time from the judge, and he's hoping it's an offer that'll work for him. He's also seemingly taken his case into his own hands.
You discharging your public defender at this time, sir?
No, I ain't discharging, but he ain't presented the way I wanted to be presented. I ain't say resolve this. I said make an offer, which is how much time, whatever is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I want to resolve it in that frame, in that fashion, sir.
As his attorney attempts to rejoin the conversation, Batten doesn't let him.
Judge, I've explained to Mr. Batten not to talk about the facts of the case.
Ain't no facts. We ain't going to trial. I'm asking you to make an offer, Your Honor, straight up. The history, proof is in the pudding. That's the only thing I got. As you can see, ain't nobody been hurt. I ain't never intoxicated when I'm arrested, so it ain't nothing. You know what I mean? All it is trespassing, simple trespassing.
Batten's presentation is compelling enough to convince Judge John Contini to follow through on the request.
I understand, and I'm going to respect your request, sir. I'm going to go ahead and offer you a chance to be, if you were to plead no contest at this time, sir, I would offer you an adjudication. You'd be convicted, of course, as you have indicated. You have many of those already, and you'd be in, the plea offer would be 45 days in the Broward County Jail.
Judge Contini has extended an offer. Now the ball is in Batten's court.
Well, no, I ain't gonna accept 45 days, because I did 30 days last time, just a week ago. But my birthday coming up, I'm hoping you can say a week or two, and I agree with that, you know what I mean? 45 days, nah, I think my regular judge let me out before 45 days.
Well, you can already tell I'm not really a regular judge.
Judge Contini explains that since Batten is a repeat offender, 45 days in jail is a reasonable sentence.
Sir, you have a real history, and you've already indicated that's what you do, and that's what you're going to continue to do. And so
yeah, but ain't nobody been hurt. I ain't never intoxicated. I'm always bringing money to them places.
I respect your decision. I respect your decision. Your decision is to decline the offer at this time. Is that right?
All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to accept the 45 days.
Okay. All right.
And in the end, Joseph Batten did not serve 45 days. He eventually appeared before a different judge, pled no contest to trespassing, and received just 17 days in jail. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Judge John Hurley's holding bond hearings via closed-circuit TV with inmates detained at the Broward County Jail.
Joseph Britton, is he in the courtroom? Is Mr. Joseph Britton in the courtroom?
42-year-old Joseph Britton's charged with battery, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest after an altercation with a restaurant employee. The dust-up ended with Britton licking his hand and putting it on the worker.
Mr. Miller, I'd back up, and I'd back up pretty quick if I were you. May I see one of the deputies? Mr. Britton, take a step to your right.
So what is it exactly that has Judge Hurley so worked up?
Yes, Your Honor. This gentleman is claimed he has Ebola.
Oh, man.
This is the first time guards and other inmates are hearing that Britton claims he's infected with the contagious and potentially deadly Ebola virus, which is what he told arresting officers.
You should clear the courtroom of all the prisoners. Can you send them out in the hallway?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, yo, wake up, man. Hey, get up. Take the females out that way.
As the courtroom's evacuated, the entire jail goes on lockdown. It's estimated that Britton has had contact with more than 200 inmates and personnel since his arrival. Off-camera hazmat responders arrive and transport Britton to a hospital to undergo testing for the virus. An hour later, a guard returns to the now empty jailhouse courtroom.
You want us to start bringing them back in?
Well, wait. You know, I'm a little curious about this. Has someone determined that the man does not have Ebola?
Well, they're taking the steps now.
Turns out the whole thing was a false alarm. Britton's test results come back negative, and he claims he never told the arresting officers he was infected with the virus. The confusing episode doesn't result in any additional charges, and Britton is released the next day on a $1,000 bond. We're in Vancouver, Washington, where a 16-year-old is in juvenile court after violating his probation. He's joined by his mother. Next to them is the court clerk. But noticeably absent is his attorney. As Judge John Woolley inquires about the lawyer's whereabouts, the teen addresses the court.
I would like to fight for myself and not have an attorney.
It appears this young defendant wants to play Perry Mason, but Judge Woolley doesn't necessarily think that's a good idea.
Oh, that's not a smart play. That's like going out onto the field with the New York Yankees and you've never even learned how to play baseball.
That's fine.
So I'm not going to do that. You're going to have an attorney assist you in this matter. I'm not going to let him fly solo and walk into a court of law and try to practice law when he hasn't even finished high school.
I just wanted to say I'm guilty. That's all. I just take what I get.
We're sending it over to Tuesday.
What Judge Woolley doesn't clarify is that he believes a juvenile can't legally plead guilty without an attorney present.
I'm not going to accept an admission at this time.
We're not getting to do what we want, you know.
So put it on for Tuesday for either admit or deny, or for whether or not there'll be a replacement of the attorney.
So far, it looks like Judge Woolley's doing everything in his power to help this defendant. But when the teen continues to question him,
why can't I just admit today that?
The judge loses his temper.
Because I'm doing my job, sir. My job requires that I protect your constitutional rights, you as an American citizen. That's my charge. And if you're too stupid to know that what I'm trying to do is protect you, then let me spell it out for you. So step one is I bring the case back with an attorney, and then we talk.
Notice as the court clerk tries to signal to the teen to be quiet.
Because I'm doing my job, sir.
Then scores some brownie points with the boss by backing him up.
And our state Supreme Court has backed you up on that, didn't
they? They have. And I'm sure the U.S. Supreme would too.
And listen carefully as Mom expresses her dissatisfaction with the judge's choice of words.
The Supreme Court has backed you up on that, didn't
they? They have. And I'm sure the U.S. Supreme would too.
Okay, you're going to take this and you're going to have a seat. You're going to be back in court. Actually,
perhaps sensing the mood shift in the courtroom, Judge Woolley offers an apology.
And my apologies to everyone in this courtroom. I very rarely lose my temper.
If you want to call it that.
But when I do, it's usually because someone is too stupid to recognize that I'm trying to help them.
There are just a few issues with Judge Woolley's backhanded apology. One, he's just doubled down on calling the defendant stupid.
Which usually because someone is too stupid to recognize that I'm trying to help them.
And two,
I very rarely lose my temper.
Problem is, that's not entirely true. Over a 2.5-year period, Judge Woolley was cited for 4 separate incidents by the Washington State Commission on Judicial Conduct for, quote, a pattern of discourteous, impatient, and undignified behavior. Judge John Woolley would later receive a public reprimand for his ill-tempered courtroom conduct.
Oh, that's not a smart play.
Thanks for being a fan of Court Cam. Subscribe to A&E to never miss a new video. and catch full episodes on aetv.com.